Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name is Ray, the Market Trader. And before we get started, we are obligated here to kind of run through quickly our risk disclosure. So we'll go ahead and do that. So let's locate our... Okay, so just a reminder that all the content that's being provided by the Market Trader and its affiliates is for general information purpose only, is not intended as investment advice or solicitation to buy, sell security, future, options, or Forex. We all understand that trading future does carry a fair amount of risk, is not suitable for all investors, and you may lose all or more your initial investment. Only risk capital funds that you can otherwise afford to lose should be used for trading, and the company assumes no liability for any losses resulting from the use or misuse of such information. Okay. So now that we got a feel for the risk disclosure, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention over to the news portal here, and just to get a sense of what news do we have in the horizon today that could potentially impact the markets here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and locate that here. Okay, there it is. All right, so just again, we just kind of taking a look here at the news, what kind of news events that kind of jump out here. The one that is coming out, jumping out at me at this point is the JOLTS job opening report at scheduled for 10 a.m. today. And then we have consumer confidence also coming in at 10 a.m. today. And then we have some lesser reports coming in at 9 and 9:45 respectively. We have the Case-Shiller report coming out year over year at 9 a.m. Eastern. And then we have the Chicago PMI at 9:45. And then we close out the session with a number of Fed members speaking: Goolsbee, Schmidt, Barr, Bowman, all kind of having the potential of maybe impacting the markets, but certainly not to the same effect of some of the earlier news events. Okay, so I would say relatively light in the way of news. I think we have some more maybe impactful news outside of maybe the JOLTS report, assuming that actually goes out as planned. That's probably the most impactful news event today here at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so now that we have a feel here for the news, we're going to go ahead and now turn our attention over to the trading platform and kind of begin our review of the markets. So we'll go ahead and do just that. Let's go ahead and open up our charting platform here, and we're going to go ahead and locate. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Let's see right there. Okay. Hopefully that's visible to everyone. Okay, so here we are. We have a 15-minute chart of the gold. We'll go ahead and turn our attention over to the daily chart here in the gold. Oops, not the minion. Okay, we'll just move to the daily. Don't want to do that. Okay, here we go. We're going to go ahead and collapse some of these things here just to get a nice view here of what the market is trying to accomplish. And first thing I'm going to do, turn off the ADR here. Okay. Now, looking at this market, you can see that the market has been a bit under pressure here of late. We've kind of reached the level here of some support in this market, and we've gotten some buyers kind of potentially stepping in to this market, right? So we got a little bit of a push here to the upside, came back and retested the same level of interest, and now this is the third consecutive day of bullish price action. Now, while we are not technically out of the woods here on the bearish kind of structure here, we are seeing maybe the beginning signs of maybe a market that is trying to maybe head higher. again, the idea here is that as long as we remain in this kind of swing here, there's always a potential of sellers potentially stepping into this market. But nonetheless, we are starting to see some interest on the bullish side in this market on the daily. Taking a look on the 4-hour chart, again, we're going to go ahead and disable our initial balance ranges here. We can turn that off. You'll turn that on when we look at the 30-minute chart. And again, looking at this, we are technically making some higher highs and higher lows in this market, right? As not certainly not of the impulsive variety, not of the same vigor that we went to the downside. To some degree, this feels like it's a little bit more of a retracement, right? More of a consolidation pattern. But nonetheless, you can see that we've made some higher highs and higher lows and kind of working our way higher in this market. If I open up the visible range volume profile here, you can see that the market has just come into value here on the visible range here. Okay, well, actually, depending on the number of candles I display here, you can see that the market is inside some value or working its way back into a value range. Okay, assuming that we do close this candle back inside the value range, there's certainly the expectation that we could maybe spend some time here in this market, kind of filling out these the volume that has been left as a result of this pretty strong move here to the downside. So kind of meander its way higher here and kind of fill out this volume profile would not seem out of the ordinary here. So again, a market that is trying to maybe work its way higher here. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, looking at the 30-minute chart, you can see that it appears that we have a fair amount of bulls in this market. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my VWAP and my ribbons here. So let's go ahead and turn on my 90 MA. We'll turn on my VWAP here, and we're going to go ahead and disable the bands here for a moment. Okay, so turn this. Oops. Just have the main one here. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our fixed range volume profile. Just get a sense of where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. And if you take a look at this, let's see, we're going to go ahead and open up the fixed range volume profile. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the start of the session on Monday. Takes us back to this location here. Okay, right about here. Oops, it's not it. Wrong session. Right about here, and work our way to the close. You can see that price has managed to get above value, so indicating that there is a number of participants that are willing to pay a little bit of a premium to be a part of this market to the upside. Okay, what's nice about these kind of value ranges that they offer us kind of logical locations where we can potentially participate in the market. Notice how price has come down to this level and found some support in the bullish direction. Now we're certainly, I guess I mentioned, certainly not out of the woods with respect to the bears, right? We haven't really gotten above this level here at 46.32 or 46.32 before we found some interest on the sell side in this market. Okay, looking at the initial balance range across the various sessions, it appears that we have a fair number of bulls in this market. Okay, starting off with the the Asia market here, right? You can see that the market did extend to the upside during Asia, and we still have a fair number of appears to have a fair number of buyers, still in this market here. Okay, taking a look at the London session. London session seems to be a bit more neutral. We'll double confirm that. Okay. So yeah, a little bit still to the bullish side. We did extend to the upside in this market, but not to the same level or vigor that we received that move during the Asia session. Okay, the market seems to have found maybe a little bit of pressure here to the sell side here at the moment with all these selling wicks that we're seeing on some of these candles. Okay, so kind of indicating that maybe there's some sellers maybe potentially stepping into this market. We're up against the high end of the value range of the visible range volume profile here. I would say that this is probably a relatively important level if you're going to maybe sustain any sort of kind of bullish kind of view on this market. Otherwise, there's the potential that we could maybe rotate all the way down to the other side of the value range, which would take us back to the sort of the start of this bullish swing to the in the market. So again, the fact that we are above value from London, above value from Asia, indicating that there is maybe a little bit of a bullish sentiment underway here in the gold market. I'm going to go ahead and open up our initial balance for the current session, and you can see that we are developing a rather narrow initial balance range, which could maybe give way to maybe a move back down to some of these levels below us before it makes any sort of move higher, right? So it would not be surprising here if price were to come back down to say 45.90, okay, maybe down closer to this VWAP range, 45.93, and then that being the location where it offer us maybe another leg here to the upside. Now we are seeing price above my 9, above my VWAP. So again, indicating that there is a fair amount of interest in this market to the bullish side. Okay. But we are starting to see maybe a little bit of price action that would indicate maybe there is a rotation of price that is maybe potentially underway. Okay. If we do get price to close maybe below the 9 EMA, that could maybe serve as maybe a sort of the event that we're looking for, maybe for, again, a rotation to maybe retest some of these lows here, maybe as low as 45.51. Okay. So I'm going to go, as I head into the session here, I'm going to go with more of a neutral kind of setting. I understand that we have, again, a fair number of buyers in this market. I am seeing some price action that would indicate to me that maybe there is a rotation of this range that we're currently in. I see that there's a little bit of difficulty getting below 45.70, okay, to the downside, and we're having some difficulty getting above 46.30, let's say. Okay, so as long as the market is unable to make a new high or make a new low, then the idea of the view that I have is that we're probably there's a likelihood that we will remain in range. So I'm going to be patient with this market. I'm going to see if I can get maybe some sort of event that would indicate to me which direction they want to take this market. Right now, it's not clear to me exactly which direction. Certainly, if price remains above this value range, that could offer us maybe a location. This 45.80 level seems like a rather appetizing level here. What's kind of concerning to me is the fact that we did make a nice impulsive move away from this range, but it has not been sustained, right? Before we found some sellers as we approach this level here to the left around 46.40. So that's kind of giving me the indication that maybe we are in for maybe a little bit more of a range day in this market. All right. So let's take a look at the silver market now. Taking a look at the daily chart. Again, similar kind of price action that we're seeing in the gold is also exhibiting itself here in the silver market. Looks like it found a little bit of a foothold here at the lows. We're starting to see maybe this is the third day in a row of developing price action to the upside. Again, we are still, I guess maybe we've broken a little bit of structure here to the upside. If I were to draw these candles here, right, you can see our channel here. You can see that we broke the channel to the upside. We retested that same channel, and that channel has offered us maybe a location for continued price action to the upside. I'm going to go ahead and mark this area maybe as a potential demand zone here, right around the 67.60, maybe as low as 63.50. I'm going to go ahead and mark this area in green to indicate that this does appear to be maybe a developing demand area. Okay, so you can see similar kind of price action that we're seeing here on the left-hand side, right? We got to a low. Again, this kind of signature price action that we've kind of talked about in our coaching calls, right? You get a move to the upside, and then the market holds. Okay, kind of indicating that maybe we are in some sort of reversal pattern in this market, right? So again, we got that same kind of price signature, right? We got to a low, we got a move higher, and notice the price has not been able to close back inside this area, giving us the indication that maybe there is a little bit of upside in this market, okay, based on the daily chart. given the price signature that we're seeing here. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. We're going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range. We're going to kind of zoom in on these daily candles here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off initial balance and just kind of take a look and see. Maybe we'll go ahead and open up the moving average ribbon here. And let's see, just want to open that up here. Okay, so here we are. We're starting to see price kind of make some crosses here, right? We got the 9 above the 20. We got the price above the 20 and the 50 moving average. Okay, and we have above us the 100 and the 200 moving average, right? So again, technically, based on moving averages, we're still in, you know, some bearish structure here to the downside. And obviously, the expectation is if price is to come to some of these levels above us, that we would expect these levels to initially be resistant to price, right? So I'm looking at 76,580. Okay, that's the 100 moving average, and you can see here on the left hand side, this was a supportive area in the past that could now become a little bit resistant to price. Okay, so this could be an area where we could see maybe a continuation here, move to the downside. Certainly up at the 200 moving average here around the 80 level, I would expect to be somewhat resistant to price as well. Now, first order of business, if we are going to maybe begin to see that price is going to continue higher, we need to get above this 74 level. Okay, 74 is kind of the line in the sand that I'm seeing at the moment. That's maybe preventing future price of maybe moving higher here. Okay, 74. Otherwise, that would give me the indication that we're less in a market that's initiative and more in a market that's maybe consolidating, maybe looking for that next catalyst here. Now, I don't know about your patterns here, if your pattern recognition here, but I do see maybe that we are developing a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern, or not the head and shoulder, normal head and shoulder pattern, but a little bit of a reverse head and shoulder pattern here in the 4-hour chart, right? So this being the, I don't know, depending on your orientation here, we'll just call this the right shoulder. Okay, over here the head, right? Okay, and then over here to the right hand side our left shoulder. Okay, so again, that could maybe offer us a indication, again, the 74 being our neckline. Okay, and again, if I take this measure from top to bottom here, from the neckline to down to the head, well, it gives us a little bit of a forecast of where price could potentially lead to, and that would take us right into that 80 range or 85 range that we kind of been alluding to earlier. Okay, it's just gonna maybe adjust this here a little bit. Yeah, right around this 85 level seems to be maybe a visual target, assuming that this pattern plays out. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart and see what we can see in the 30-minute. Again, similar to the gold market, we see a market that is at least making some higher highs and higher lows in this market, right? So again, I'm going to go ahead and open up the fixed range volume profile here just to get a sense of where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with that here. Okay, we're going to start with the open of the market here back on Monday over here, right about there. Okay, and then kind of take that to the close here. Okay, so you can see that the market is well above value from yesterday, indicating that folks are willing to pay a premium to be part of this market to the upside. We did not get that reversal, unlike, again, showing the silver showing maybe a little bit more strength in this market than the gold, because if you recall, gold actually offered us a little bit of a pullback to this range before it actually extended here to the upside. Okay, silver, on the other hand, did not offer us that, but it maybe offered us a pullback to VWAP before it started its march to the upside. Now, again, as I mentioned, as we've kind of approached or neared this 74 level, seems like we found maybe some interest on the sell side. So again, it would not surprise me if maybe after these series of candles here, that maybe the market does a little bit of a rotation, maybe retest the lows of value area high before it actually makes this, maybe it gives us a more definitive move here to the upside. Okay, so I see a market on the 30-minute chart that is consolidating here a little bit. Again, if I'm bullish, I'm kind of identifying some levels of interest here. There's this value area, high area. Again, we kind of reversed away from that. That could also serve as maybe another location for price to maybe reverse away from. We've retested that level, but unfortunately, we're not able to make a new high. On the contrary, it seems like we are developing a little bit of a 3-bar reversal pattern in this market. So it'll be interesting if we do manage to hold. We've already kind of tested this level once, and we're not able to break and make a new high. Now it looks like the potential of maybe coming back to this area of value again, assuming that we maybe close back inside it. There's a possibility that we could rotate all the way to the other side of value as low as 71.26 here. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and take a look at the initial balance range across the various markets here. We'll start off with the Asia. So Asia offered us again a nice little move here to the upside. We can see that London, while still a bit on the bullish side, was not as bullish as the London, right? And on the contrary, we weren't able to actually break above the initial balance range, and it appears that maybe we are starting to see maybe indications that the market wants to maybe explore explore price a little bit lower here, right? So you can see that price is having a difficult time getting above this 73.50 level, and now we have a bearish engulfing candle that is developing here. That's looking to maybe to close below our 9, which could be our first indication that price is maybe looking to maybe rotate back to the lows. Okay, so at this point, if I had to pick a side, my side of the market, given the consolidation, is that maybe we are in some sort of range, and that the market is looking or intent on maybe rotating back to some of these areas below here. 71.750 is the level that I'm kind of looking at. So as we head into the market, I'm going to go with more of a range kind of price action. We have not been able to make any higher high of late or a lower low of late. So certainly possible that we remain in range. So I'll give the market here more of a neutral rating. Okay. If I'm a buyer, I'm going to be looking at the edges of these markets here, right around 71.80. If I'm a seller, well, here I am. I'm at an area where I can reasonably manage my risk. I would not risk too much more above this area here for that short opportunity. But I do see that we are creating maybe a little bit of a double top here at 73.50. Okay, so a little bit more of a neutral rating, similar to a gold market. Okay, into silver as we head into the session. Taking a look at the crude oil. Okay, looking at the crude oil market, we'll start off with a daily. I see a market that is continuing to try to head higher here, although certainly not met without some sellers also. Okay, so this seems to be a little bit now. We've kind of reached the highs here of 106, and then we've kind of fallen away from that a little bit. But you can see here as I move from left to right, this is still a market that is looking quite bullish. Now, I can't say that I'm necessarily overly impressed with the bullish candles that have booked of late here. Certainly, this is quite the indecision candle here. We did manage to maybe push the market higher, and now we're developing yet another indecision candle here with wicks on both ends of the candle. Is this candle going to offer us maybe a little bit of a pullback, maybe a fake breakout to the upside? If so, then we obviously need to get below some of these levels, maybe back inside the range, and then maybe that could offer us maybe a rotation back down to 88.50. But right now, this level above is still maintaining. Okay, so this level on the daily is still holding, right? So this level right around the 100 so we broke 100 to the upside. Now this area is kind of serving maybe as an area of some sort of support. If we maintain above, then the view is that maybe we'll continue to grind higher here in this market. Okay, if we start to break down and maybe close below the 100, maybe that gives us an opportunity maybe for a market to maybe revisit some of these lows here. Certainly 89.50, maybe as low as 88 seems to be kind of a natural destination here. for this market, assuming we can get below the 100 level. If not, then we're probably looking at some higher prices here. And I think I've kind of done this analysis here. We'll do this analysis on a lower time frame. Let's take a look at the 4-hour with more candles. We're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance range here for a minute and see what kind of price action we're seeing in this market. Okay, we'll go ahead and close off this area here. And I was going to see if I can maybe secure. I'm not seeing really the price action that I would be looking for, maybe to lend itself to this analysis. But I do see a market that's maybe consolidating here a bit. I see participation on both ends of the market. I see bearish and bullish candles. We have this bearish candle that was quite engulfing. And since then, we haven't been able to make a new high, indicating, again, that same pattern we keep talking about here is that pattern that maybe could be indicating that maybe we've hit a little bit of a temporary top here in this market that could maybe offer us maybe a little bit deeper pullback in this market, right? So we got above the 100 level. Now we're kind of consolidating here around the 106 and 105 level. Again, that signature move, right? We got a nice bearish engulfing pattern, okay? And the market has not been able to get above this level. So could be an indication that we've gotten some sellers to kind of step into this market that could offer us maybe a little bit of a deeper pullback in the crude oil, assuming that we get maybe some favorable news to maybe serve as a little bit of a catalyst for that, okay? Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart, we're going to go ahead and take a look. It seems like the market has been in some sort of range here of late. There's our little demand zone that not demand zone, but supply area that I mentioned earlier. Okay, this area right here does to be maybe an area of some resistance to price. Okay, if we do manage to get below this level, I think that maybe opens up the door maybe for us to maybe explore prices a little bit lower here in the market. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the initial balance ranges for the various sessions. And I see that the market has really not been able to do too much here other than maybe remain in some sort of range. So let's take a look here to start with the Asia session here, okay? And just looking at the Asia session, you can see that the market has been a bit on the bearish side in Asia, right? We got a nice little move down to the away from the initial balance range for Asia. We got a pullback to the middle of the range, and we found some more sellers, okay? Now we're hovering at the lows of the session here. So again, indicating to us, and certainly on the Asia side, that there's still a fair number of sellers in this market. Taking a look at the same range for London here, okay? And you can see that we did extend to the upside, but that was kind of short-lived. Right, we got a pretty good set of candles here to the upside. We got to the 100% extension of this initial range, and now we're back inside the initial balance range, right around the mid area. Okay, so it seems that certainly Asia was a bit on the bearish side. London is probably giving us some indication that maybe they're a bit more bullish on the crude oil than the Asia. So maybe there is another leg higher here, and maybe a retest of this 105 level coming up here in this market. Let's take a look here. Let's see, we just officially opened the regular session here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look here and see what kind of initial balance range is forming in this market at the moment. So you can see that we're getting a little bit of a rejection candle here on the lows of the market. Okay, kind of giving us an indication that maybe there is a little bit of a support zone here, okay, support area here on this market. Looking at this on a 30-minute chart, so that does look supportive to me. That could lead to maybe a leg higher, maybe a retest of this 105 level. Certainly doesn't seem to be out of the realm of possibilities here. I look at some of these higher time frames. 30-minute chart looks like we're developing a little bit of a 3-bar reversal pattern here, certainly on the 30 minute, and we're starting to develop maybe another candle that would indicate that maybe we are intent on looking a bit higher here in this market. Okay, so again, similar to what we were saying with I I do see a market that maybe is a bit more range since we've gotten a little bit, we've been exposed to basically both directions in this market. I would say that I'm gonna give it more of a neutral rating. I see that maybe we are maybe in the beginnings of maybe another leg here to maybe retest the highs here of 105, assuming we can actually close this candle in its current form. Okay, maybe even break the initial balance range. So I see 105 as a possibility, which is only a couple of points away from the current session here. Take a look here. Yeah, so the high of the session here was 105. So yeah, 105 does not seem out of the realm of possibilities here. We did react away from that same area, or this candle here seems to be the dominant candle here at the moment, and we are reacting here a little bit away from that. Okay. So assuming that we can hold above 102.50, I would say that there's certainly a possibility that we can get up to as high, back to the highs, and possibly the high of the week here at 106. Okay. So again, we'll go with more of a neutral rating here. I do see fair amount of participation on both sides of the market. So right now we're at the lower end of that range. So giving me the impression that maybe there is a bullish leg in the horizon here in the crude oil market. Okay, taking a look now at the equity markets. We'll start off with the NASDAQ here. Okay, and we'll start off with a daily chart. And looks like when I was kind of looking at this earlier, looks like we may have found maybe some interest here. I'm looking here on the left-hand side. You can see that we've come into some daily levels here on the NASDAQ, right? So there was a lot of discussion about, well, why we were getting this reaction. Well, we came into a daily level, right? We've come into a daily level on this chart, and again, indicating that there is still some buyers in this market. Okay, right here, right? So right around this 23,000 level, that at least has offered us maybe some interest to the buy side. Now, we're certainly not out of the woods when it comes to the bearish price structure. We still are very much in some bearish price structure here to the downside. You see a lot of our moving averages crossing our shorter moving averages, moving across our longer moving averages, again indicating that there's still a fair amount of selling pressure in this market. But we have come into a daily level, and this daily level, certainly the view here, it's not going to break on the first attempt. Okay, so if we are interested to the bearish side, we probably need to look at areas like 24,000, 24,050. Those would be logical areas where we could see maybe a little bit of a rally, and then a move back to in the bearish direction. Okay, right now we're at a demand zone, so it would not be unreasonable to expect or see a little bit of a rally in this market. Okay, is kind of what I'm seeing. All right, now the question is, how far would this get? Where I see as far as the beginning of this, maybe another part of the initiative move to the downside, I do see 24,000 as maybe a level that we can maybe lean on to maybe provide us a continuation move in this market. So we could be in store for maybe a few days of maybe some bullish price action here up until we get to that 24,000 level. And then unless there's some sort of, obviously, some news that would accelerate that view. Right now, I'm thinking that the market has the potential of coming back to this 24,000 level. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart again, you can see that the little bit of a reversal kind of pattern that we're seeing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance ranges. We're going to go ahead and turn off well, actually, we'll keep our ribbons. Okay. And you can see that the market has seemed to have found a little bit of a bottom, right? Again, this will probably be a little bit more visible on the maybe some lower time frame charts, but you can see that we are seeing more in the way of participation to the bullish side. We got a kind of a reaction, one last push to the downside, and now we've kind of developed a little bit that little signature move that we talk about, right? Is that we are seeing that price is having a little bit of difficulty getting below, okay, this level. Kind of created a little bit of a demand area, down at what was that, 23,000, let's say 200, maybe 23,225. We're starting to see some indication that this area is indeed supportive. Assuming we can make a new high, then maybe again that there's that 23,800 level above us. Okay, and then ultimately, as I mentioned in on some of these higher time frame charts, we have the 24,000 level that could also offer us maybe another level for maybe a continuation move here to the downside. But I am starting to see a little bit more in the way of some bullish price action here on the 4-hour. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart, again, we are starting to begin to maybe break above some of these levels that we care about. You see that price is above our 9, above our VWAP, above our 20 and 50 moving averages, and kind of working its way above the 100 moving average. Okay, we still have the 200 moving average, which I would expect to continue to be somewhat resistant to price. So we're going to go ahead and mark that level as an area of resistance. That's around the 23,750 level. We still have some hurdles that we need to go get over before we can even entertain that. The next kind of logical level that I see, I'm going to go ahead and mark this in green because it's in red, I should say, because that's a resistance zone. The other kind of area that I'm kind of looking at is this area right here, 23,500. That seems to be kind of another logical level where we could potentially see maybe a continuation move. So, but otherwise, right now, I see a market that's in some sort of range, right? We have the lows at 23,000, the highs at 23,500, 23,540. That's the range that we're in currently. I'm going to go ahead and take a look here at the initial balance ranges just to get a sense of, kind of the direction that some of these larger players have made in these markets. So we'll start off with the Tokyo session and see what kind of market it was able to establish. It barely managed to get above the value range, right? Here, right? It barely just got above the value range and kind of hung around the high end of the initial balance high. Okay. So again, while it is initiative, it's certainly not the strongest initiative move that we've seen here, right? So we're kind of hovering above. We have not accepted value. We have not accepted back inside the initial balance range. So that's kind of given us the indication maybe that there is a little bit more in the way of an upside move, but can't say that that's necessarily the strongest move that I've seen, right? So taking a look at London even seems probably it's going to be even more range bound, right? So again, kind of hovering just above that area of the initial balance here. Okay, we are kind of hovering right at that edge of the initial balance high of London. Okay, so assuming that we can hold above this level, because kind of giving us maybe an indication maybe that there is another leg higher in this market. Where can this market go? Well, if I take the most recent swing, here, let's take a look at the fib tool. If I take the most recent swing, we're kind of looking at, certainly there's that 25,520 level. Okay, we talked about earlier. Okay, that's the 61% extension of this initial move, and then we have the the 23,690 level as maybe 100% extension of this move. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing as maybe some upside targets for this current kind of action that I'm seeing right now. I would say that we need to continue to hold above, certainly above 23,240. Okay. In order for that maybe to take place. But if we remain above the initial balance high for London, I do see the possibility of price reaching this 23,520 level, and the outside possibility that we actually make a more concerted push up to 23,684. I'm going to go ahead and open up the ADR here. That's also going to give me some sense of where this can go. Well, you can see that the ADR is has kind of exhausted here. Okay, so pretty early in the session. So that actually could offer me a location where I do see an area where price could potentially reverse or stall here. Okay, so I don't know, maybe there is another leg. We've kind of broken this level, actually reached this level relatively early in the market. I'm not seeing we got some reaction away from this level. It has not been sustained. So that may be giving us a little bit of maybe evidence that maybe we can manage to get above or to this level, maybe to these highs here at 23,520. before we see any sort of concerted move here to the downside. So of late, I would say that we're seeing a little bit of bullish price action in this Nasdaq. I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods necessarily on the bears. It seems like we are in some sort of range here in this market. It'll be interesting again as price, assuming I do see price coming maybe approaching this 23,520 level, whether we see some sellers maybe potentially stepping back into this market. So we're going to go ahead with again maybe at least on the short term more of a neutral to bullish kind of rating, because I am seeing some evidence that the market is trying to head higher. But I also am wary of the fact that there are sellers in the midst here that could potentially step into this market at some time. The fact that we've exhausted the ADR range to the upside, I'm not really super keen in initiating a bullish trade up against the high of the ADR. I'm probably more interested in maybe looking at the lower end of the initial balance range. If it does provide me that opportunity right around 23,240, that would be more logical place maybe to entertain a bullish trade. Okay. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the ES markets here, and we'll start off with the daily chart. So we'll take a look at ES. Okay, ES. All right, we'll start off with the daily chart. Okay, and similar to the Nasdaq, right? We're starting to see some evidence that maybe there is some interest. And it is no surprise, right, that we have come to a level 63.80. We've come into some daily levels where we've seen buyers here in the past. Okay, so it stands to reason that they are still around. So if they were interested in those levels in the past, there's a likelihood that they would be at least initially interested in these levels again. And we are seeing some indication that they're still here. Okay, we don't know necessarily how this candle is going to close, but we are starting to see a little bit in the way of again early stages of maybe a reversal pattern. Okay, early stages, but we've been down this rodeo before, right? We've had bullish candles like this in the past that has kind of fizzled. So we have to be obviously wary, because you can see here that we still have some price action that is still sloping to the downside, right? We are still below a lot of our moving averages, including our 200, right? So we can't get too excited with this move, because overall we're still in some bearish price action. You can see by the fact that my line continues to slope to the downside. But we have arrived at an area where we could potentially see some buyers. Let's take a look here at the 4-hour chart and see what kind of additional context we can kind of pull from the market here. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance ranges here for now. Again, you can see that price. We're going to turn this ADR off here as well. Okay. You can see that price still remains below our moving averages. We're currently touching the 20 moving average. Okay. So we have the 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200 moving averages. Price still technically is below all these levels. Okay. And so the question now becomes, if we are going to maintain this move to the upside, obviously we need to make a new high, and we are developing a candle that's looking to maybe get above these areas. A couple of areas of note that I would maybe kind of call out here is this 65.80 level. Okay, 65.80 level does appear to be maybe an area where we could see maybe as low as 65.70. It could be a location where we maybe see some resistance to price here. Okay, because again, the overall structure of this market is to the downside. This right here feels a little bit more of a consolidation, maybe a slight retracement in this market, maybe another potential leg here to the downside. Okay. Nonetheless, we are seeing beginnings of some price action to indicate that maybe the market wants to move higher. Okay. But we do see some areas that could pose some areas of some resistance here. Okay. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart, we'll kind of take a look at our fixed range volume profile just to see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. And I anticipate that maybe it might be a bit higher here. Let's take a look. We'll start off with the start of the session here and kind of work our way to the close of the session here. Okay. So you can see that we just managed to get above the value range for yesterday's session. So indicating that folks are willing to pay a premium to be part of this market to the upside, right? So you can see we got a nice impulsive move here during Asia, and we got basically pulled back a few times here to VWAP, and that has kind of continued this move to the bullish side. Now we see that price is above value from the yesterday's range, so that's giving us maybe a little bit more in the way of more of a bullish sentiment, but we haven't really extended too far away from that range just yet. Price is above our 9, is above our VWAP, so it's kind of giving us an indication that maybe there is some more upside to this move. Okay, we do see that we're up against this 6470 level, okay, which has historically been somewhat resistant to price right here, right? That we got, this is a location where we did get a bit of a sell-off, but we're kind of maybe building a little bit of volume, little bit of volume up here at the highs. Maybe that's a indication that there is a little bit of interest here, or there's a little bit of I would say concerted efforts into kind of keeping this market above this value range. Okay. Let's see. Taking a look at the fixed range volume, not fixed range volume profile, but the initial balance ranges across the various sessions. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the Asia market. It appears that Asia was very much bullish, okay, on this market. Okay. So there's the Asia range, right? We'll go ahead and collapse this here. So you can see that the market extended the range, came back to that initial balance range, and found some more buyers. Okay, so Asia is bullish. London also appears to be slightly bullish. Okay, we have price above that range. Okay, did make an attempt here to get back inside the range. That was met with some buyers. So again, 2 sessions indicating the same kind of view. And if we look at some of our higher time frame candles, that is giving us kind of some indication that maybe there is some participation behind this bullish move here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. See if I can actually expand this here. Taking a look at the DMI. DMI is kind of mixed. The DMI is kind of giving us some indication that we are still in some sort of range. And while we are getting some bullish volume on the volume delta, it's not overly so, but we are still pre-market here. So there's still some time to go before the market opens here. Okay. So in any case, right now, I'm seeing a little bit in the way of some bullish price action. I would say I'm going to maybe give it a little bit more of a neutral to maybe potentially range. I would say that if we can get above this 6480 level, I think that opens the door for price to get up to 6516 before we see any sort of major resistance to price. If we cannot hold above, then I go back to my kind of range kind of view. We'll probably fall back into this value range and maybe potentially rotate back to the lows here at 6390 is kind of what I'm saying, because again, we're starting to see a little bit in the way of some participation here up at these highs here. Okay, we got both price action in both directions here. Okay, so I'm gonna go neutral to maybe I'm going to say bullish, but I'm bullish. I would need, if I'm bullish, I need to go with better price location. I'm not bullish into an area of some resistance. And if I look at the ADR, I do see that we're up against ADR as well, right? So there's expectations here that there's the possibility that this ADR zone is going to cause the market to lose a little bit of momentum here to the upside. Although we have kind of been at this level without much of a reaction. So kind of giving us an indication maybe there is further upside to this market. Okay, let's go ahead now and take a look at the last market before we kind of summarize our view across all the markets, and that's the Dow. So we'll start off with the Dow, and you can see here that we got a relatively nice little move here to the upside the last couple of days in this market. We'll turn off ADR here for a moment. We'll turn off the initial balance here for a moment. You can see here market still below our moving averages, including our 9 moving average. So again, we are still in some bearish structure, but this is the second day in a row, right? Unlike some of these other days, second day in a row where we've gotten some bullish price action. Are we out of the woods on the bearish side? No, Right now, we are still very much in some bearish price action, price below all the areas that we care about. But we are seeing maybe a little bit of selling pressure kind of wane here a little bit, right? We have a flattening of the negative DI, a flattening of our ADS indicator, and maybe a little bit of selling pressure, not selling pressure, but buying pressure that might be coming into this market. 4-hour chart, again, there's our higher high and higher low that we're developing on the 4-hour, right? Again, I'm going to go ahead and mark this area as maybe an area of interest here to the bullish side, right? Again, that little signature move here that we've been seeing in these markets, and I've kind of alluded to here. You can see that we've kind of reacted away from this 45,440 level, okay? Now price is above our 20 and our VWAP. Still below some of the moving averages that we care about. Certainly not out of the woods on the bearish side. These areas above us, 46,800, could continue to be areas of some resistance. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart, again, a little bit in the way of some range price action of late here. Pretty much at the start of maybe the tail end of the Asia session. Okay, we kind of fallen into some sort of range up against some areas where we could potentially find some sellers. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up my fixed range volume profile and kind of compare price action here. We're gonna go start here and then close here. Okay, and you can see that the market is above the value range for this market, but not overly so. Okay, so we have this area here that has served to be supportive, right? We have seen price react away from it, but they haven't been able to sustain any sort of bullish price action. Certainly have not been able to sustain any prices above or getting above this 46,000 level. So this 46,000 level could serve as maybe an area to maybe look for and entertain maybe a bearish trade, right? We can use a 46,000 level as that area. You can see the proximity of the 200 moving average. So the expectation here is that this area could continue to offer us maybe a rotation, right? If we get back inside the value range, that could allow us to get back to the lower end of the value range, right around this 45,534 level. Taking a look at the, I'm just going to take a look here at the initial balance range across the various markets here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can locate my initial balance here. Okay, so we'll start off with the London pretty much range bound. We made a couple of attempts, but have not been able to get above the initial balance range in London. And then we take a look at the Asia session. Asia session does appear to be a bit on the bullish side, right? We can see that price did manage to get above and remain above. But right now we see a market that's a little bit in range, right? So I have 46,000 above me. I have this level here around 46,000, 45,800, and we seem to be content to remain in this range. So I'm going to go with more of a little bit of a range to bearish kind of a view here. I'm not necessarily convinced that we're going to be able to get above this 46,100 level. I think this 46,100 level could offer us maybe a location for a reversal trade from the current kind of view here. And you can see here that we've already exhausted the average daily range. So the momentum to the upside, I think, is probably has the potential of being waning here. Okay. And that it could offer us maybe a little bit of a rotation here in this market. All right. So let's go ahead and take one final look across all the markets here, guys. We'll start off with the gold market. Again, gold market kind of giving us also this kind of range kind of look and feel here. We'll go ahead and open up the regular session here because we're about to close the initial balance range. So just kind of getting a sense here what kind of range that's being established here in this market. Okay. So we got two 30-minute candles very much inside range with wicks on both ends of the candle, really not giving us all that much in the way of direction. So I'm going to continue to give more of a neutral rating here in the gold market. As long as price remains 45.80, maybe that offers me another leg here to the upside. So that's going to be important for me. Otherwise, I'm going to give more of a neutral rating here in the gold. Silver appeared to be a bit more bullish to me. Actually, I'm seeing some indications of silver as well, showing a little bit of range kind of price action up against this ADR high here. Okay, so that could also offer us maybe a leg here maybe back down to the value range and maybe through the value range. I do see that there is some support here at 72. 72 might be a logical place. This is probably around let's see, yeah, right around the VWAP there as well. Okay, so 72 is that level. So I'm going to give, again, similar to gold, probably a little bit more of a neutral rating here. I do see prices above some of our above our value range, kind of giving me a sense that there is some bullish sentiment to this market. But over the course of the last, pretty much London session, we've been in some sort of range in this market, really not giving us a clear indication as to which direction they want to take this. So until we get some sort of initiative price action in one direction or the other, I think we need to remain patient on the silver market. All right. Crude oil market, again, we seems to have kind of, we have some folks that might be a little bit on the short side. Looks like we found maybe a little bit of support here around this 102 level. Okay. And we have some resistance here at 105. Assuming that we can maybe, once we kind of close out this initial balance range, it'll be interesting to see exactly which direction they take this market. I do see some evidence that maybe they want to take this market higher. I see price above the VWAP, above my 9 EMA, which could lead to maybe some further price action to the upside. Certainly a retest of this 105 level, okay, is a possibility. And if we get above 105, then I think we could potentially retest some of these highs before we see some sellers maybe coming back into this market. Again, this market being quite news driven, we need to be certainly quite careful. Any sort of adverse news in the Middle East that could certainly will drive this market in directions that we don't necessarily anticipate. Okay, taking a look, one last peek at here the equity markets, and just kind of taking a look here. So equity markets have been a bit bullish of late here. We are up against the ADR, so it's kind of a question as to how much more upside do we have in this market. I do see some resistance here in the NAS around 23,500. Okay, 23,500 could be a resistance zone where we could see a reversal in price. So while I am seeing a little bit of bullish price action, I don't know if I'm convinced that the market is going to be able to kind of sustain above this 23,500 level. So that's something, an area that I'm going to be kind of looking at. Maybe this whole area between 23,450 and 23,500 is an area that maybe I might see or might look for maybe some opportunities in the sell direction. If we get above 23,500, I'll be looking at that level as maybe an area for me for a continuation move, because I have provided some upside targets here based on some higher time frames on the potential of maybe this most recent swing giving us a move maybe up to those levels. Okay, taking a look at the ES one last time. ES kind of giving us the same kind of look and feel. Again, we have 64.70 as the highs here. Is this going to continue to be resistant to price, or is that going to give way? If it's going to give way, again, I'm going to go ahead and draw in my range tool here and see what would be some logical targets for this move. Right, we have this bullish move that we made here. I take it back to the lows, and again, it has us maybe coming back as high as 65.30 in this market. Okay, and the earlier target of 64.87. So if we are going to remain bullish, that would be kind of a measured move of this most recent bullish swing. That would be kind of some visual targets or some mathematical targets here in the ES. Last but not least, in the Dow. Okay, looking at the Dow, seeing a little bit more, maybe again, some pressure here to the downside in the Dow. I'm not seeing the same kind of interest. Dow seems to be a bit weaker given this development that we're seeing on the current 30-minute candle that's developing here. Again, I do see that there is a fair amount of support here at 45,743, but I do see a market that's been in range for pretty much most of the evening here. So again, I think we need to wait and see for the market to give us maybe an indication, more indication as to which direction. I would say right now the Dow is in range. Okay, is in range right now, ranging kind of here a little bit. Potentially, I would say that if we remain below this ADR high here, maybe below this 46,000 level, that we could see maybe a leg here to the downside. I'm seeing a little bit in the way of maybe a double to potential triple top here in this market here. Okay, so that pretty much kind of captures my view of the markets here, guys. So we'll go ahead and close this session as we close most sessions, and that is to trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Have an excellent day trading, and we'll talk again later this afternoon.